Hey there, welcome back to the channel. Just the other day, I decided to wash my bed sheets, and I love sleeping in a freshly washed, clean bed. But it got me thinking about how infrequently I wash my sheets, and I'm not going to admit how long I go in between washings, but it's definitely longer than what's probably recommended. Additionally, we've always heard that our beds are bacteria havens, but just how much bacteria is there? So I did the research, and it's a little scary what I found, but it's important to know, and I'm here to share it with you. So today we are discussing what kinds of bacteria are in our bed and how often we should wash our sheets. Hey everyone, my name is Matthew, and welcome to Calm Insomniac, where we're a community of people trying to get a better night's sleep. If you enjoy learning about sleep health, sleep tips, and relaxing classical music, then please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for notifications. First, we need to discuss the types of bacteria that are found in our bed. The majority of the information and images in this video come from a study authored by Mattress titled Bacteria in Your Bed, and this is very recent. It was last updated in February 2020. They conducted laboratory research to determine the amount and kinds of bacteria in our bed sheets as well as our mattresses by swabbing bed sheets over a period of 4 weeks without washing and swabbing mattresses between less than 1 year old to 7 years old. The study found that of the millions of bacteria that end up in bed with us, there are 4 main strains: gram-negative rods, gram-positive rods, bacilli, and gram-positive cocci. Gram-negative rods account for 41.45% of the total bacteria found in our bed, and these are potentially the most dangerous to humans. Gram-negative rods are known to cause infections such as pneumonia, bloodstream infections, and wound or surgical site infections. Additionally, these are especially scary because they have been shown to be resistant to drugs and antibiotics. Gram-positive rods account for 24.94% of the total bacteria in our bed, and gram-positive rods are bacteria which subdivide and produce spores. These bacteria are known to cause illness such as listeria and diphtheria. Now, luckily, most people when we're kids get a vaccine for diphtheria. However, gram-positive rods are often associated with foodborne illness. Bacilli account for 23.38% of the bacteria in our bed. Bacilli is actually an umbrella term for a rod-shaped bacteria. Bacilli can be gram-negative or gram-positive depending on how they appear using a staining method under a microscope. The Amerisleep study didn't specify how these bacilli differ from the previously mentioned gram-negative and gram-positive rods. And gram-positive cocci account for 10.23% of the bacteria in our bed. Gram-positive cocci are bacteria which grow in clusters or chains. These are often associated with staphylococcus or streptococcus infections, commonly associated with staph infections and strep throat, respectively. Now that we know which bacteria are in our bed, we need to address how much bacteria is in our bed. First, a quick definition. Bacteria numbers are measured in colony-forming units. A colony-forming unit is a unit of measure used in microbiology to determine the number of viable bacteria cells in a sample. So the Amerisleep study took the swabs of the unwashed sheets and pillowcases and compared them to the amount of bacteria found in common household items which are considered dirty. And this is where it starts to get kind of gross. According to the study, after just 1 week, the amount of bacteria on your pillowcase is 3 million CFU. This is 17,442 times more bacteria than found on a toilet seat. And after 4 weeks without washing, your pillowcase has 11.96 million bacteria, and this is 39 times more bacteria than in a pet's food bowl. We find similar results for our bed sheets. After 1 week, our bed sheets have 5 million bacteria, and after 4 weeks without washing, this has increased to 11.32 million bacteria. Let me throw in one more disconcerting fact. If you didn't know, chimpanzees, which are our closest evolutionary cousin, actually make their own bed each night. A study out of North Carolina State University found that human beds have more bacteria in both numbers and diversity than chimpanzee beds. So the amount of bacteria found in our pillowcase and sheets is relatively consistent, but the concentration of each bacteria strain differs slightly between the two. It's often considered that our pillowcases are cleaner than our bed sheets because we typically keep our faces cleaner than the rest of our body. I'm sure a lot of us wash our face at night before we get into bed. But unfortunately, this isn't exactly true. According to the research, more than 40% of the bacteria found in both our pillowcase and bed sheets are gram-negative rods, which are the most harmful to humans. Our pillowcases have a slightly higher percentage of bacilli and gram-positive cocci, and our sheets have a slightly higher percentage of gram-positive rods. What's important to remember is that between our pillowcase and bed sheets, the ratio of these bacteria remains pretty consistent. One interesting fact is there was research conducted out of the University of Sevilla in Spain, and they found that the dirtiest part of our bed sheets is actually around our feet compared to our head or torso. At this point, we've talked pretty extensively about the bacteria in our bed sheets, but is there any bacteria in our mattress? Yes, of course there is. Research has shown that the bacteria strains are distributed fairly evenly as our mattress ages. Gram-negative rods only begin to appear when a mattress is about 2 years old, and at around the same time, bacilli seem to temporarily disappear, but they will come back. All 4 strains of bacteria were only found in a mattress that was 7 years old. But now let's talk numbers. In the first year, a new mattress will accumulate 3 million bacteria. By the end of the second year, this number triples to 9 million bacteria. And at the end of 7 years, a mattress has accumulated more than 16 million bacteria. Now, our sheets do protect our mattress somewhat from this bacteria accumulation, but it's still a lot of bacteria that accumulates over time. So now that we are completely scared of ever getting back into our bed, let's talk about how to wash our sheets. It's recommended to wash our sheets once a week, so this is a good excuse to get a second sheet set, that way you can rotate them in while one is being washed. We want to wash our sheets in hot water to properly kill the bacteria. If for some reason you can't wash your sheets in hot water, then you should put your sheets in the freezer, probably wrap them in a plastic bag first, and leave them in the freezer for a few days. The freezing cold temperatures will also kill the bacteria, and then you can wash your sheets in cold water. But you're probably thinking what I'm thinking, which is, that's a lot of time and water washing your sheets every single week. So if you can't commit to the time or money to wash them every week, then here are a few suggestions. First, especially if you sweat a lot at night, when you wake up, unfold your sheets about halfway, that way they can air dry a little bit. This will slow down the bacteria growth a little bit, especially because bacteria loves growing in dark, damp places. And this is the same reason that our armpits smell. Second, if you work in an especially germ-ridden job, such as a healthcare worker, a teacher, work in a gym, or anything else like that, you might consider taking a shower at night before getting into bed. This is especially true in our current environment, and if you see the date that this video is posted, you will understand what I mean. And this is good advice in general because taking a shower at night before bed has been shown to be relaxing. And finally, as a last resort, you could spray some Febreze or other similar product on your sheets. This really won't do much at all because they only work on bacteria that is related to odor, but I suppose it's better than nothing at all. And here are a few final recommendations. First, if you've just recovered from being sick, then you absolutely need to wash your sheets. It's pretty gross to be sleeping in the same bed where you were just sick and coughing and sneezing, so wash your sheets as soon as you are healthy. Next, don't forget that you can wash your pillow and not just the pillowcase, and this is something that I unfortunately have forgotten about, so I need to do that right after making this video. And finally, there isn't really much we can do to keep our mattress clean. Luckily, our sheets do provide some protection over time. You can always try spraying some Febreze or other similar product, or if you have one of those steam cleaners for shirts and getting wrinkles out, that might help minimally as well. It's recommended, though, that we replace our mattress every 7 years. Alright, there we go. Those are the kinds of bacteria in our bed and how often we should wash our sheets. Admittedly, this is a pretty gross topic to discuss, but like I said in the beginning, it's really important that we understand it and know how to properly keep ourselves healthy, because this is an important part of our overall sleep health. I'm curious to see if there's any research out there that discusses the long-term health side effects related to sleeping in a dirty bed. And if there is any research on this, then I'll be sure to let you know. Let me know in the comments below, did this video scare you into immediately going and washing your sheets? And how many sheet sets do you own? Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow me on Facebook and Pinterest, check out my website, and join my email list. All of those links are down below. If you like this video and want to learn more about sleep health, then check out this playlist right over here. And if you want to see one of my recent videos talking about the top 5 tips for the perfect sleep environment, then check out this video down over here. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.